Next word in our Names of God series is anchor. So Hebrews 16, 6, Hebrews 6:19, anchor. This hope we have as an anchor of the soul, both sure and steadfast, in which entereth into that within the veil. Is the verse.
You got official. He said interest.
Like Mike Tyson. I'm sorry. Also, well,
King James.
yeah, I'm King James's. But anyway, anchor is mentioned three other times other than this scripture in the Bible. So Acts 27, verse 29, verse 30, and verse 40. I'm not going to read all of them, but when I hear the word anchor, the first thing you think of is ships and things of that nature. Uh, but in this verse, it says anchor of the soul. So when I think of that, I think of being in refuge and being covered by something or being held by something to where I'm protected. So, and kind of those within the refuge are safe from whatever danger they're freeing from spiritually. So, if you're in this space where God can cover you, uh, then you're free spiritually from some of the dangers that come about if you stay in the word, if you stay with the Bible, if you stay with God's teachings, and He will protect you. And that brings about hope to me when I think about that. And hope equals faith. So our hope is not in this world, it's in the holier, greater person and place that He set aside for us. That's what I kind of think of when I hear the word anchor. So, and then it makes me also think Matthew 8:23 through 27, where Jesus was out doing healing and He got the disciples with Him and they're working on healing and they're traveling the land. And all of a sudden, they're finished and they're getting tired and they're going to hop in the boat and go across the lake. So they hop in the boat. Everybody knows the story. And the storm rolls up on them. And Jesus is in the bottom of the ship or the boat. And He's counting sheep or catching some Z's, however you want to say it. He's down there asleep. He's not worried about this storm or anything at all. But what the storms, I think, represent is, sudden changes in our lives, storms from hardships, storms from unexpected battles in life. All these things are inevitable. We go to the doctor and we get a diagnosis, or one of our kids are playing sports and something happened, or we lose a job. Those things are inevitable. Those things are going to happen. So we need to make sure that in them circumstances when things seems hopeless, that we're we're going to be like the disciples. It's almost inevitable. We're going to be scared and we're going to lose a little bit of faith. Right. And that's what happened on the ship. The disciples got scared, the storm and the waters are raging, and they got scared and they hollering out, Jesus, Jesus, Jesus. And He said, ye of little faith. And it's kind of like, oh, and we might read that and be like, how come they not trusting? But we're the same as they are. When we get in those circumstances, we're like, wow, this is scary. What am I going to do? And we start calling friends or family and other people when we actually don't realize if we're in a relationship with Jesus Christ, with God, we have a living anchor. So why aren't we paying attention to that? We're going through this storm just like the disciples were. Water's raging, wind's blowing, and we're relying on other people. So we need to rely on an anchor. And if you're a true believer, you'll understand that you are connected to a living anchor, one who commands the winds and the seas and can tell them when to obey. And that's strong, but we all have to realize it. So, and the other part of that scripture, it says sure and steadfast. Well, here's some things to know. Anchors prevent a ship from being swept away by wind or waves. So what's more interesting and is relevant to this particular use of anchors, anchors are often placed away from the ship in the harbor. So sailors would carry anchors some distance away and secure them to a reef. That way they don't bang up against the reef also, but they're anchored out so that they have stability still and they won't bang and hurt or tear up something else that they're next to. But then if you got a smaller vessel, they'll tie that thing right to the port or the dock. And it makes more sense for a smaller vessel because you can tie it down. It can't damage as much. So, so it's a sure and steadfast way to make sure things are safe and secure. So, and then the other part of the scripture says entering the veil. This refers to our confidence and our approach to God in prayer. Are you in prayer and confident enough to know to have faith in him because maybe something in the past has happened? So he's proven himself. Or in the past, when something came up, did you go astray or did you go another direction? You know, or you replacing him with something else? So, but whether it's your secret place or whatever, you put together these separate images to create a powerful message of reassurance and that Christ has anchored our hope of refuge in him, in his very presence. So we need to just make sure that we're tied down to the right anchor, because you can be tied down to a friend or you can be tied down to a situation that's not right for you. And you think that's all your hope is tied down in that, and your faith is tied down in that. When that thing is going to move around, when the storm comes, that thing is not going to be there.
That's good. Can you read the verse again?
I'm sorry.
A whole bunch of stuff.
I'm sorry.
Stuff.
This hope we have is an anchor of the soul, both sure and steadfast, in which entereth into that within the veil.
Okay, and then did you have the verse for the story in Matthew?
Oh, it's Matthew 8:23 through 27.
What it made me think of was, well, obviously anchors. The only thing when I think of an anchor is I think of a boat. The best visual we have. But it also, when you were talking about that story, it was so funny that what came to me was they didn't realize that they had the anchor on the boat with them. And I have never thought about that until now.
Okay.
That they were, which nobody wants to be in a storm. I mean, they're totally afraid. Jesus, the one that they know, and all he did was come out and say, "Be still," and the waves stopped. They, what are you sleeping for? And they be still. But they had the anchor with them. And how many times do I approach any storm? And sometimes y'all, the storm doesn't even have to be real hard. It's like, oh, it's raining. Oh, it's a storm. Jesus left me. And it's like, no, I'm right here. So I think that was really good. That's just what it made me think of, is that they really had him, the anchor, right there with them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Right there with them on the boat. And they didn't see it. They didn't recognize it. They knew he could help them, but they didn't see it like that.
Exactly.
And I'm tired of being like that.
I was just trying to figure out, what were their expectations when they were screaming out to him? When you screaming out, Jesus, this is a storm. Were there expectations for him to come up and say, peace be still? Whenever the Lord say it's peace, there'll be peace.
There you go.
You know, did they expect that to happen? What was their expectations? Because they were so scared. So I don't know, but
that's good.
That's the word. You know, just make sure that you realize that if you're in season and you're with the Lord and you're on top of things and your relationship is right, don't be scared to cry out to him, but make sure you have faith
that he's there to tie you down. He's got you tied down. If you're tied to him, you're tied to the right thing.
Yeah, you're tied to the
because anchors are strong.
Anchors are heavy.
Heavy.
Yeah. So just you know, just think about it. If you've been on a cruise ship and they tie that ship to the port,
release the anchor. Yeah.
Or that big old chain that comes up out of the bottom of the ship.
It's not going nowhere. You're not going nowhere when you're anchored.
Exactly.
When your soul is anchored, you're not going anywhere.
My soul has been.
He keeps bringing up songs.
Anchored in the Lord.
Take us back there.
Anyway.
All right.
Well, we'll see you next time. And until then, God bless and stay steadfast and unmovable.